Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP here in Melbourne, and don't worry about the time, it's after midnight, because I've got a very special guest. It's Mr. Jeff Dehart, impersonator. He does impressions. He's an entertainer. He's a star of the stage and the screen. The man is a living legend, I can tell you that now. How are you today, Jeff?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all
You're
right.
right.
And call me Plastic. I want you to call me Plastic because my best friends call me Plastic. And as I said, you've worked with the Fab Four, so I've been lucky enough. I've had Artie on. I've had Beatle people on. Mitch Wiseman. I've had other Beatle people. And you know what? It must be great working with the Fab Four.
It is the best. They're all a great bunch of guys. They're all extremely talented. Obviously, they are the best Beatle tribute band you're ever going to see. And I should get a little plug in for this. I understand they're doing a live broadcast on the 29th of May. And I think they've all grown beards while they're off, and it's called Let It Beard. I asked him, I said, "You're going to be singing songs like Here Comes the Barber, or No Hair Man, or You
They're
Won't
great.
See Me with My Beard,
Were you a big Beatle fan, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was a kid at the time when they came out, and a huge Beatle fan, like pretty much everybody else in the world. Uh, Loved them. When I was a kid, my best friend across the street had a pen pal because you wrote letters in those days. A pen pal in England, a girl. Her father was a Bobby, and one day the Beatles were doing a concert, and he was assigned to hold the crowd back. And when one of them came along, he stopped and asked for an autograph. So since he was a policeman, all four of them came over and signed this little piece of paper about yay big. So he brings it home to his daughter. She says, "Oh, thanks, Dad, but I like the Rolling Stones." And she said it to my friend. So he had this autograph. This is like 1964 now, of all four Beatles on one little piece of paper. And I remember even then telling him, take good care of this. This is going to be worth a lot of money someday. Unfortunately, it wound up getting lost, I think, but he had the autograph of all of them. And my other Beatle connection, let's see. I was at the Letterman show because I'm friends with Dave twice when Ringo was on. And, I found myself, I'm in the little hallway standing in front of Ringo. Now I'm 5'8", but I towered over him. And, he used to do that show, Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
Yeah.
So when my son, who's 25 now, but then he was a little toddler, and I would watch Thomas the Tank Engine with him. And George Carlin and he and Ringo were hosts, so that's why I liked it. But I found myself standing right in front of Ringo, looking him in the eye, and I'm thinking to myself, it's Ringo Starr. He's on Thomas the Tank Engine. That's when I knew I've been watching too many kiddie shows.
That's a great story. Do you do any impersonations of any of the Beatles?
Well, there's a famous scene. Who's the old man? He's Paul's grandfather. He's very clean. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. What about other comedians that have like influenced you or you've come across them? Like I'm just saying, one of my biggest heroes is Jerry Lewis.
Oh
Now
yeah.
let's talk about Jerry Lewis, and then I'll
Jerry,
tell you a
hello,
story.
Dean, all right, wait. Yeah, I love it. Jerry was great. Yeah, he's gone now, so it's sad. But yeah, I love Jerry. When some of my big influences, well, I started out 44 years ago doing impressions. So Rich Little, Frank Gorshin, John Biner, guys who did impressions were a big influence on me. But some of my two favorites are probably George Carlin and Rodney Dangerfield. Love Rodney. I'll tell you a funny story about Rodney. My wife and I was doing a show in Atlantic City when I met my wife. And in fact, she had just graduated Villanova. university and was going to go to law school in the fall. So she and her cousin decided it would be fun for the summer to get a job as Playboy bunnies at the Playboy Club. So she did that, and she starts making all this great money, and decided not to go to law school. And then it becomes the Atlantis Hotel. And I'm living out in California. I get a show that goes into the Atlantis, and that's how we met. She was working. I proposed to her on Hands Across America Day in front of 1,000 people. When she said yes, I said, good, now get back to work. We need the money. But anyway, we had, when friends would come in, to town, it was great. And we went to see, I remember seeing George Burns. I love George Burns, one of the greats. We took our moms. I think my mother-in-law to be at the time tipped the maitre d' $100, and we sat right in front of him. And we go to meet him afterwards, and he was so cute. He in the show he had a little tuxedo, but afterwards nothing matched. He looked like a golfer who got dressed in a dark closet, and he's sitting there with his cigar. And so his manager says, George, Jeff does a great impression of you. And he goes, let's see you do it, kid. And I said, I can't do you without a cigar, Mr. Burns. And he gives me a cigar, and he loved the impression. Well, the very next week, we go to see Rodney Dangerfield. Oh, and by the way, when his manager told him, Jeff and Roxanne just got engaged. Real classy, George was. He goes, well, you're a very lovely couple. I wish you all the luck in the world. The next week, we're seeing Rodney. After the show, he's in his bathrobe, nothing underneath, and he's going, hey, I heard you and Roxanne just got engaged. I don't want to get personal, but I think you want to sleep together first. You know what I mean? So from one week to the next, class, no class, Rodney. But
it's classy. I got to tell you Jerry Lewis story. I just have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My wife and I are in Adelaide, and I'm in a restaurant. Okay, and I'm facing the wall, and my wife is facing me, but facing the door.
Right.
So I'm looking at my wife, and she's looking at the front door. I'm eating a steak, and as I'm eating the steak, my wife goes, Jerry Lewis just walked in the door, and I'm eating my steak, and I go, yeah, sure. She goes, no, Jerry Lewis. She goes, no, Jerry Lewis has just walked in the door. And I looked at my wife like something wrong with her, like she's crazy. I turn around, and there's Jerry Lewis just walked in the door with his family, right? A lady and a child and whatever. And they go and sit in front of where my vision is now at the back of the restaurant. Now, me being Mr. Personality, or not Mr. Personality, but me being like, I'm Australian and I want to be, generous. I think most of these celebrities don't sign their signatures, right? I know Ringo doesn't sign now. So I thought to myself, listen, I'm not going to be rude and get up. The man wants to have a dinner. He probably had a show or something. I'm not going to interfere with him. I'll do it delicate. So I called the waiter over and I said, waiter, can you come here for a minute? He goes, yes. I said, listen, I'm a big fan of Jerry Lewis. Can you go over there and offer him a bottle of wine and I want to pay? And I said, I'll go to $30. Right? This is the So the guy goes up to Jerry Lewis, and I'm watching Jerry Lewis now. And the guy goes, Jerry goes, yeah, what can I do for you? Like he didn't know what the waiter wanted. And he goes, you see that guy over there? And I'm nodding, it's me, right? He wants to buy you a wine. So Jerry gets the wine list and starts looking, right? And as he's looking, then the waiter goes to him up to $30. And he turned around and said, tell him not to worry about it. True. That's true.
That's funny. Isn't that funny? You'd be all the way in Italy, and what are the chances of that, right?
Well, I didn't believe my wife. I'm sorry, but my wife's very good in the car at giving directions too. I usually end up going to the wrong places where I want to go. She doesn't use a road map or Google. You know what I mean?
Oh.
She just wings it. She'll tell you go down this street, go down that street.
My wife does the same thing. She has no sense of direction. She does not know what north, south, east, or west means. Like she says, if I say, honey, what direction are we traveling? She'd say north. I say, why? Because we're on a straight road. That meant we're north, And
the other problem I got is that, not that it matters, but I find with my wife, there's a song called Looking for Clues. Have you heard that song, Looking for Clues?
I don't think so. Okay,
no, you can look it up. But my wife gives me a fifth of the information, and I've got to work out the other 4/5 to know
Oh,
what's
that
going
sounds
on.
familiar. Yeah,
That's true.
that's true.
Anyway, getting back to your stories, right? I just want to hear your Alan Hale story, the skipper
Oh,
from
all right. Well,
Gilligan's Island.
many years ago, Bob Saget and I had the same managers. We were living in California. It was, believe it or not, it was Harvey Weinstein and Brad Gray. Brad later became president of Paramount Pictures. He's gone now. But anyway, we had a meeting with them at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. So Bob and I parked our car and we're walking up toward we're going to be in the coffee shop, by the way, walking up toward the coffee shop of the hotel. And coming this way toward us is Alan Hale Jr., the skipper on Gilligan's Island. And he's walking, and without saying a word to each other, as soon as he passed, we just turned and looked at each other and both sang do 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 do. Yeah. We get into the coffee shop, and it's really crowded. We see Chuck Barris. Remember from the Gong Show?
Yeah.
Chuck
Do you know
Barris.
him? Do you know him?
He's in the coffee shop. Then our managers say it's too noisy. Let's go in the dining room. Nobody's in there. We go in. There's these big booths. Well, no one was in there except a booth next to us, and it was Charles Bronson and his agent. And I loved Charles Bronson. So I have to admit, I wasn't very attentive during the meet. Every once in a while, I'd be looking at it, and they'd go, "Jeff, would you mind joining the meeting here, please?" You never know who you're going to bump into in California.
I've got a friend of mine. He's a big Charles Bronson fan. I can tell you that after this interview, he'll be watching just to hear what you said then about Charles Bronson.
Oh yeah,
Charles
it was crazy. I love Charles Bronson.
All those movies, Death Wish, and all those movies.
The best. Yeah, those
Who
are
else have
great.
you come across celebrity-wise? You can tell me some stories. Have you got an Elvis story?
Well, yeah. Let's see. I never met Elvis, but I did a TV show back in the early 80s called The Book of Lists. And it was based on these books that came out, the Book of Lists, for instance, the 10 windiest cities in the country, or whatever, 10 biggest fears people have. And we did sketch comedy about that, around that. And Bill Bixby was the host. Every week we'd have a different co-host. Well, we Bill did a couple movies with Elvis, one of them which was Clam Bake, and they showed it on TV the night before we had our first rehearsal. Well, everybody's watching it, and Bill, and his hair was dyed blonde in that film. So we're teasing him the next day. "Bill, we saw you with Elvis last night. What's with the blonde hair?" And he said, well, even though Elvis dyed his hair black, as you probably know, he said Elvis did not want another young, good-looking actor with dark hair. And they asked him, "Would you mind if we dye your hair blonde?" And of course, Bill was cool. He just said, "Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Do it." So, but yeah, he did several movies with Elvis. That's my Elvis story.
That's pretty good, though.
There is another one, a little Elvis
Yeah.
story I just thought of. He's working at the Hilton in Vegas. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, years before I knew them, had flown out to go see the show. Well, I don't know what my father-in-law tipped the maitre d', but the story goes they put a table on the stage. And my mother-in-law was sitting there, and Elvis comes over to her and has one of his scarves, and he puts it around her neck and gives her a big kiss. And I think for years my wife was in possession of that scarf. I think she finally gave it to her brother. But yeah, another Elvis story.
Which other celebrities have you come across working in Vegas? I mean, like, I went to Vegas myself, and I went to the MG Grand, and I went to some of these other places, and the lifestyle there is like, I don't know, it's just like, it's an amazing lifestyle there, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, and I'm not a gambler. I don't, so I don't gamble. I say I play the change machine. I put $1 in, I get 4 quarters. I'm happy, they're happy. I win every time. But who if I could? A friend of mine, George Wallace. I don't know if you know who George is. Had a show at the Flamingo for years, and I used to go see him all the time. I was there working at the Improv when they were filming the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. So a friend of mine, another comic, was opening for Smokey Robinson across the street at the MGM. Every night, Barry Levinson, Dustin Hoffman, and Tom Cruise would go to the show. So he got to know them and he got to be friendly with them. And he said, Jeff, come on over to Caesars and we'll watch them film. And I got to meet Dustin Hoffman. I actually got to meet the real brothers that they were portraying. And Dustin was great. You know the scene where they're at the card table, he and Tom Cruise, and they're winning all the money and they're dressed alike? Dustin's wife and little kids at the time were sitting right at his feet out of camera range. The kids are coloring with their crayons and this and that. And, between takes, Dustin would go, play with the kids and this and that. But he was like he would get back into character. Barry would say, let's go, Dust. And, he's back into character. I mean, he was amazing to watch. It was great.
It's amazing to actually be there. What have you come across many music celebrities?
Well, yeah, let's see. Years ago, I met Kenny Loggins. I went to see Kenny because my manager at the time was Harvey Weinstein, and they used to be rock promoters. That's how they got started in the business. And they knew Billy Joel, they knew all these people. So I go to see Kenny Loggins and went backstage afterwards. And what was funny was I'm introducing myself to Kenny and the guys, and they all go, "We know you, Jeff. We used to watch you on Make Me Laugh." It was a TV show we did. They were all from LA. It was kind of cool. Yeah. So and then I opened for Men at Work once.
Oh, that's massive. They're Australian. He's That's it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was in San Diego, outdoor theater or something. It was not a thing to do for a comedian. They didn't want to see me. They wanted to see Men at Work.
He's just written Ringo's new album. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's pretty cool.
I'll try and keep up to date with what's going on in the world.
Oh,
you got to tell me. You got to do a couple of impersonations. I got to see Nixon.
Oh, Nixon. Well,
you got to do Nixon.
Let me say this. I was in the movie The Irishman, a Martin Scorsese film with Robert De Niro, and I did President Nixon playing golf. You don't blink or you'll miss my scene, but I was in it, and then I was in a Super Bowl commercial with Ellen DeGeneres. It was for Alexa. What did they do before Alexa? It's kind of cool. And I was in the very end. You see Nixon we did it in Warner Brothers Studios. It was so cool. They had an Oval Office set up. I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And Nixon goes to his secretary. He goes, "Alicia, and remind me to delete." He says, "Alicia," and she says, "Yes, Mr. President." They cut to her, and he says, "Remind me to delete those tapes." And the next thing you cut to the secretary, and she goes, "I ain't deleting shit." And she doesn't say the word, but it cuts right at that point. It's a very funny commercial. But yes, Nixon, I love doing Richard Nixon. Very close to Ed Sullivan anyway, same hairdo.
Exactly. Do a quick Ed Sullivan one, because I know you do that.
Now, tonight, right here on Orc stage, we're going to have some fine acts. We're going to have a Yankee great center fielder, Mickey Mantle, pop singing star Ricky Nelson, and whatever, Anyway, that's
so funny. Now, can you do a few more impersonations, your favorite of who you actually do? Because I know you do too many, so it's no point me saying someone. Just do whatever you feel.
I don't know if your folks remember Paul Lynde from Hollywood Squares, and he always had funny answers, like, why do motorcyclists wear leather jackets? Because chiffon wrinkles too easy. Johnny Carson. Now, I don't know if they ever showed the old Tonight Show in Australia, but Johnny he's one of my favorites. I love doing Johnny. Then there was like George Burns. Years ago when I first moved to California, they were thinking of doing his life story. So the Warner Brothers called me in to interview, and unfortunately, they never went ahead with it. But that would have been fun doing George Burns. They just want to know if I could do him as a younger man. I said, sure, no problem.
And what was the name of the offsider that used to call and go, "Here's Johnny"? What was his name?
Ed McMahon. Yeah, Edward.
Here's
Johnny.
I need stitches already. Okay. What else can I say about your great impressions?
Rod Serling, The Twilight Zone.
Please, please.
Now,
I'm a big fan.
I'm nationally known for that because I've done Rod for national commercials for Parker Brothers Games, Boggle, and Cubert. I did an Airborne Courier commercial. I co-hosted $100,000 America's Funniest Home Videos with Bob Saget doing the Rod Serling. So we'll do a little Rod. You're traveling through another dimension. There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, Plastic LP's house. No. Yeah. Serling had no upper lip. I think that was the key to doing it.
That's amazing. And also, you know that show Outer Limits?
Oh, yeah,
Twilight Zone was unique, but Outer Limits was unique too for that time in 64, I think it was, or 62.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
The of course, Twilight Zone was first. Yeah, and then Outer Limits was just sort of a clone of that show. Yeah.
What about the Addams Family? Can you do an impersonation of anyone from the Addams Family?
No, I don't really do anybody from the Addams Family. That was a great show too.
Do you remember You Rang and Lurch comes out? You rang.
You rang, yeah. Or Thing and oh my God. Yeah, it's funny how Hollywood takes those trends. You know, you had the Munsters, and of course the Addams Family. You know, and
they were running at the same time. But I got to say, I'm more of a Munsters fan. And the reason why I'm more of a Munsters fan is because the Munsters had comedy. Like Herman would be hit by a car and the whole car would fall apart.
Right.
The Addams Family, and to me it was too, I don't know, it was too serious, and I couldn't understand it as a little kid. It was like very weird. It was very weird. It didn't have comedy. That's why the Munsters killed it, because it was so funny for the Munster, you know. That's what it was. It was Munster Mania at that time, Munster Fever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kids went nuts for that show. Yeah. That was for sure.
I mean, you had fads. That's what the life was. We had the Beatles. That was a fad, right? It wasn't a fad, but at the time, Beatlemania was like the biggest thing in 64. And then I said 64 was Munsters.
Right. Little Beatle thing here. I'm one of the very few lucky people who attended the concert for Bangladesh at Madison Square Garden years ago when oh my God, everybody and their grandmother was there. There was, of course, Ringo, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, Leon Russell, Ravi Shankar, Badfinger, Bob Dylan. And we saw the show at night, the one that ended up in the movie. And I'll never forget when it was all over, I was standing out on the street in front of the Madison Square Garden and waiting for my friends or something. And I'm standing next to this big, long white limo. And I don't know what made me turn and look in the back, and there was George sitting in the back of the limo. It was also Paul McCartney. Another little Beatle trivia. My wife has an older cousin who had a salon here in South Jersey, and whenever Paul McCartney would come into town, he'd cut his hair, and they would coordinate. They'd take the whole block and cut it off. And police would guard it, and he'd come in and get his hair cut. And then when he got married to Heather, they did the wedding party. Little Beatle trivia.
That's a big story. I mean, everything is a big story. I mean, they were selling bed sheets in little squares, and they were also selling Beatle hair in '64. They sold anything.
I was going to say, yeah, he should have saved some of the hair after he cut his hair.
I mean, what an unbelievable stories. That lifestyle in Vegas, as I said, working with a Fab Four, you just got to tell me a little bit more about the Fab Four, because I'm actually a big Fab Four fan before I actually interviewed Artie. So anything else you can tell me about the guys, all the experiences you had with them? How long
Well,
were you with them?
oh my God. All I can say is that it's just like as many times as I've worked with them and seen them perform, it's exciting for me. It's like I sit there on the side of the stage watching, going, "Wow, this is unbelievable! They are just amazing." You know, it never ceases to amaze me that how great they are. And you look at them, and you know, a guy like Gavin, he could have been. He looked like George
Yeah.
when George was in his 30s. You know, I mean, I think he looks more like George than George's actual son, Donnie. You know, he's amazing. And they're all fabulous musicians as well. It's just, yeah, it's like having a front row seat at a concert.
It, exactly. That's what I said. The fact is, as I said, you come out and get the crowd going and
Yeah,
getting ready for the big Beatlemania. And it's actually true because they get swept up in it. And it's true. They actually go into like a twilight. And by watching when they appear, and I know it's very hard to work up a crowd. And that's what you do. That's not an easy job. But you get the people to the point where they've already got the enthusiasm and they're waiting. And you build it up. You make it easier for the band. And then when the band comes on, that mania just takes over because they're in that moment.
They go crazy, you know, but being a comic, you're used to having to work up a crowd. For instance, I did a show the show that I did when I moved back and met my wife. It was a show that it was called Superstars and Stripes, but there was a show. It was produced by Jeff Kutash, and at the time, Jeff had a show in Vegas. It was the biggest show in Vegas called Splash. The closing number of Splash in Vegas would consisted of motorcyclists flying all over the place, fireworks, the Statue of Liberty coming out of the ground. Well, he used that number to open the Superstars and Stripes show. And after all that, they would bring me on. They would say, and now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Impressionist Jeff Dehart. So I had to follow that every night. You want to talk about that was tough. You know, I'm following a fireworks and the Statue of Liberty coming out of the ground and stuff, and motorcyclists flying all over. That was the closing number of Splash.
That's unbelievable.
If you could do that. So, but yeah, opening for the Fab Four, Ed Sullivan is the first one they see. You hear a recorded announcement by Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller, and he says, and here we are, you know, here he is, Ed Sullivan. And so, yeah, you're the first one they see. And I know when George and I both do it, when we make up, I mean, it's scary. You look like, and so sometimes you'll just hold that pose, you know, you're going, and the people are going, they're laughing before you even say anything. And and then you build them up and boom, boom, boom. And here they are, the Fab Four. And the boys come out and it's like, oh my God, it's the Beatles, you know, they're amazing. Yeah.
I got to say, it's been one of my biggest pleasures interviewing yourself, Jeff, and interviewing George. I mean, he was fabulous too. And he does like Buddy Holly. He did that.
Oh, yeah. He does great.
And like, I got to thank both of you sincerely from the bottom of my heart because these interviews, not only are they just interviews, but they're not. They're so entertaining, and they're actually more entertaining for me because, you know, just listening to your stories, it's the experience that you've had doing what you do, and you're getting it out to the public now, and like, that's pure entertainment. You can't beat that, Jeff.
Oh, well, it was fun. I had a great time, and anytime you want to do it again, just let me know.
I can't thank you enough, Jeff, and what we're going to do is thank you very much from Plastic EP. And Jeff will just get you to do an impression and take us out if you can.
Oh, let's see. Sure.
Anybody you want.
Let's go back to Paul. You know, I don't know about you, but it's a rainy, crummy day here in New Jersey. I wish I was down there with you on the beach.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All the best. Peace and love to everyone out there. Stay safe.
You too.
See you again. Bye.